Hello all, Shadwell here, ready to talk about the next film in my collection, Frenzy from 1972. It's the 14th film in Alfred Hitchcock The Masterpiece Collection, is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and stars John Finch and Barry Foster. Films didn't always have ratings like G, PG, PG-13, R, and NC-17. Before the MPAA, Hollywood had a self-imposed industry standard called the Hays Code, which was bullshit. It's the big reason why I have to keep saying queer-coded to describe characters in older movies, because outright gay characters were considered too sexually perverse to be allowed on screen. That's not all the problems of the Hays Code, but that is a big one. It was dubiously replaced by the MPAA in 1968, which has its own problems, sure, but it's better than the puritanical Hays Code. All that to introduce how this was Hitchcock's second film under the MPAA, and he turned it up to 11 for Frenzy, as its subject material, bare breasts, and, well, what we're gonna call a crepe scene, wouldn't have flown under the Hays Code. Frenzy is about a serial killer loose, creping, and strangling women in London, and the cops are hot on the trail of the wrong man. The crepe scene is, by today's standard, fairly tame, but back in 1972 for a mainstream film, it was pretty shocking, I imagine. But Shadwell, I hear you say, is it any good? And I say, shut up. I was getting to that. It's not up to the same standards as the earlier films of Alfred Hitchcock The Masterpiece Collection, but it isn't a bad film by any means. It's just not great. However, by comparison to the other films of his later career, it's practically Citizen Kane. One of the interesting things about it, for me, is that it feels a lot like an Italian giallo film. And don't worry if you don't know what that is, we'll be getting to examples of it fairly soon in the B's. Anyway, one of the big things about giallo films is the killer's identity is, at first, a mystery, but not so in Frenzy. In fact, the most suspenseful Hitchcockiest scene comes when the killer is trying to get evidence off of a corpse. I do have to say that even though it's only been a couple of films, I miss those great Bernard Herrmann scores. The score for Frenzy is almost instantly forgettable. So, everything considered, I guess I gotta give Frenzy a B- because I like the giallo angle a lot, but there are some pretty boring scenes of dull, often unimportant dialogue. Well, tomorrow we finally finish Alfred Hitchcock The Masterpiece Collection with his final film, Family Plot. See y'all then.